FDA Director Ana Rivera. Please proceed.
Thank you, Senator. The goal of tobacco control has always been to quit, not shift. So we are sending signals here with the regulation that it's okay for smokers to shift, where in fact the hazards are still there. Now, it is also a known fact that e-cigarettes also has the second-hand aerosol and third-hand aerosol. They are hygroscopic and they stick to walls and any of those hygroscopic materials. And where do these kids usually take in their vaping? Inside the classroom, inside their homes. So this is actually sending wrong signal to our youth that the DVA is actually an alternative place for them to smoke. So if we really want to protect our children, having DVA sends a wrong signal. Di ba may kasabihan po tayo na kung ano ang nakikita ng bata, yan ang tama. If we put that into actuation, having DVA, then we are just sending wrong signals to our children that this habit is actually good for them. Thank you po.
Okay, thank you. Director Ana Rivera.
Sir, with regards to DVA, may we manifest that there should be some restrictions, especially in this time of pandemic, and e-cigarettes, as has been previously mentioned, contains toxic aerosols, and this would contribute to the indoor air quality of the area. And at this time of the pandemic, we should consider that restrictions should be in place to ensure that not only the effects of the e-cigarettes, but also the infection coming or the possibility of infection or communicable diseases proliferating because of the e-cigarettes should also be diminished or reduced. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Giselle of Philip Morris. You're recognized.
I just wanted to provide a little bit of clarification. I'm first starting with Philip Morris in the Philippines is not planning to make any health claims, but I think it's important that the science and what we know about what is in the aerosol is also very clear, especially to this group here. So when we look at things, the aerosol, is there a secondhand aerosol being? The answer to that is yes. But when you compare it to a cigarette is burning and smoke is being emitted the entire time a cigarette is being used. When you heat a product, the aerosol being released only when you exhale, because you're inhaling and then you're exhaling. So is there something in the air? Yes. But then you have to look at the comparison of what is being exhaled and what is the secondhand aerosol from an e-cigarette or a heated tobacco product, and how does that compare to a cigarette? So is there some chemicals in the air? The answer, definitely yes. But when you compare it to what's in the air from a cigarette, it's definitely reduced. There are plenty of studies on this done by independent groups as well as within the tobacco industry. These have been presented to many regulators around the world, including in the US to the FDA, but also to regulators in Europe, in Japan. And I think it's important that when you're seeing policy, obviously where you can't smoke, you should not be allowed to use these types of products. But where smoking does occur, it's also important to differentiate the differences in the toxins being emitted, which ones are, which ones aren't, and the levels of them, because that's important for the smokers to be aware of when they're making the switch, and also to encourage them to make the switch.
Thank you, and thank you, Giselle. Peter Doctor of Vapors Philippines. Peter?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would just like to manifest that the definition of a public place was already included in the AO that was published by the President. We just don't want to confuse the public, but also we support also what Ms. Giselle just said earlier, that there should be a distinction. So hopefully the establishments that we are looking at, where we will have the VNDS, the designated vaping places, will actually be separate from the public places designated for smokers, because we don't want to be exposed with the carcinogens from smoking cigarettes.
Okay, thank you for that. Let's hear from Joey Dulay.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would just like to manifest our support for the Section 14 and 15 of the Recto Bill. It is also important for us vapers na hindi po kami maisama sa sa isang kwarto with smokers, kasi ang major decision nga namin is to switch away from smoking. We don't want to to go back to smoking by putting us inside the room with all the smoke and the harmful substances that smoking provides. No? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Joey. Okay, so I suppose the next issue for discussion, no?
Chair,
Yes,
Chair.
yeah,
Yeah.
please, proceed.
I just wanted to also comment on this provision, but also on the previous provision on advertising and sponsorship. I forgot to mention. It's very important, Mr. Chair, that we address what is a current strategy of the e-cigarette companies. I feel very strongly that there should be a ban in their promoting their products in medical communities. If they really are going to, if the intention is to share whatever benefit there is, then that should be a highly regulated discussion. The presence of DOH, FDA, or whatever other safeguards need to be present should be there, because again, as I said, unless it is registered as a cessation device, then they have no business promoting it as such. So I can tell you, I can share it. I'll put this on record. There is a Manila Times article that showed that these groups had an event with the Philippine College of Oral and Maxillofacial Surgeons, basically dentists, and their angle was preventing oral cancer. So whether that's true or not, that's not for me to decide. That's for the scientific community to decide, and they have no business promoting their product that way unless they have clearance that they can make those kind of statements. So, Mr. Chair, I use it as an example because this is extremely dangerous. We have experts here, Philippine Pediatric Society, Philippine College of Surgeons, but it is true, and you can ask the doctors. I'll ask them to speak whether now or later. Not every health professional knows these things. So these people have no business explaining something that they have no clearance about. They will be confusing even professionals. And again, I'd like to ask the Secretariat to take note of the thumbs up and whatever use of this is now a valid use of a valid expression of support, thumbs up and whatever clapping that is on record now in our video hearing. No. Second point, I move on. The second point is on the designated areas, and I'd also like to point out that one of the manner of enticing people to become vapers or HTP smokers is by creating these lounges, parang exclusive lounge, maybe similar to the what was explained kanina, like mga exclusive events, exclusive lounges for these users. So if the point is to help them support, why do you need an exclusive lounge? Clearly, the objective here is to make this a lifestyle. And again, it becomes aspirational for the youth na, wow, air condition, ang gaganda ng mga upuan, social na social. Tapos meron pang free coffee. Again, I saw this in London, in the United Kingdom. So yung aking provision on this, itong designated vaping areas, I specifically put there no chairs. Not that naman gusto kong pahirapan, but then again, let me add, sitting is the new smoking, okay? May kasabihan na ganon. So this is not meant to prejudice anyone. Obviously, if there's someone who cannot stand, that's not meant to affect them in that way. But it's meant not to be a lounging area, okay? If you are truly using this device as an alternative to smoking, then just get your fix and leave. It's not meant to be sitting around, relaxing, enjoying. Hindi yun ang objective. So may ganung provision in my bill, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. So we go on to the next issue.
Mr. Chair, just one.
The next issue,
Mr. Chair, just one manifestation.
please do it quick because we've heard a lot on this issue already at the moment, Eric. This is Eric.
Yes, Mr. Chair, particularly for what Senator Pia Cayetano said, because with the universal healthcare law, we have actually been very strict now with engagement with pharmaceutical companies attending conferences and then giving lectures and talking about the goodness of their products. No? And that is for legitimate pharmaceuticals. So I'd like to support Senator Pia Cayetano's point that we should not allow them, peddlers of nicotine products, to attend medical conferences and give lectures to medical students or healthcare professionals. I just wanted to make that point, Mr. Senator.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. So the next point is another major issue, but I think we should take them all together already. No? Section 16 on product notification, because here jurisdiction is already mentioned, the DTI. No? So Section 16, Section 17, Section 20, and Section 18. Okay, so these four sections are all interrelated and has jurisdiction too. Okay, whether it should be the FDA or the DTI or an interagency to regulate the product, the heated tobacco and vape products. So let's open this to discussion. Can we hear first from the FDA and the DTI? Yes, FDA, Domingo, please proceed.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Nicotine is classified as a drug. When it's purified and then it's delivered in a way that it will be absorbed into the body, it's like any other drug. It has physiologic, short-term, and long-term effects. That's why we believe that we have to subscribe with the provisions of RA 11467 and EO 106, which are new and have been approved very recently, putting the regulation of such products under the FDA. Kasi po talagang hindi naman siya katulad ng ibang consumer products. Ito pinapasok sa katawan ito at may epekto siya sa katawan. Kung yun nga po mga childcare products, pagkain, supplements, nire-regulate po ng FDA, lalo na po ito na merong physiologic effect na might be long-lasting. And as a matter of something practical, Mr. Chair, I have to tell everybody that the FDA has been working for the past few years already on the regulatory structure of this. We are ready to license manufacturers, retailers, distributors. We are ready to accept applications for notification and registration of these products. And this is something that takes a lot of time. Kung ililipat na naman po, parang napakahirap. And I'm sure the Department of Trade does not have the experience with regulating products, which are very, very similar to food and drugs.
So thank you for that. Can we hear from the DTI?
Oh, yes, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, there are two things here to talk about, the liquid or the refillable matter and then the device. DTI is just regulating the device, Mr. Chair. We are actually preparing for testing equipment on HTTP devices, Mr. Chair. We are not certifying the refillable product, but the device itself. And that is the point that we were trying to raise earlier, Mr. Chair, that if this is going to be allowed, well, whether online or offline, sellers should make it clear that the products are licensed and then show the license so that consumers or buyers will be able to verify if the device has already passed certification process and testing by the department, Mr. Chair.
Yes. Ruth, just one question. No? Tobacco products today are regulated by the DTI, an interagency headed by the DTI. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair. There is an interagency committee on tobacco products chaired by the department, Mr. Chair.
And is the FDA a member of that interagency?
Yes, Mr. Chair, and the Department of Health.
and the Department of Health. Okay.
Yes,
So
Mr.
now
Chair.
you have two different agencies regulating similar products.
Mr. Chair, the FDA is regulating the tobacco itself or the liquid tobacco. The DTI will regulate only the device, Mr. Chair, as a consumer product, just like all the other products that we regulate and test.
Okay. Do you have any comments on the different sections of the bill with regard to
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Please
Yes,
proceed.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we agree and support the provision in Senate Bill number 1951, Mr. Chair, allowing a 3-month period prior to the sale or manufacturing in the market that they should notify the department. And for all those that are already that are already in the market, Mr. Chair, we are allowing them a transitory period of also maybe 18 months or shorter for them to be able to dispose of these products, Mr. Chair, before we impose the regulation of the department on the devices, Mr.
Yes.
Chair.
Do you have any recommendations with regard to Section 17, product standard requirements for vapor products, refills, devices, and systems? I'd like to ask the same question also to FDA, and of course to Section 17, Section 18, because this one deals with heated tobacco products. I'd like to solicit comments from the DTI and the FDA on these two particular sections.
Oh, yes, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, it is our proposal that since these two sections are very similar provisions, that they be consolidated and maybe revise the title with an introductory statement on product standard requirements for vapor products and heated tobacco products, Mr. Chair.
Okay. What about the elements in it? You have any
We
further?
have
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Chair. On 17-17A, if the intention of the law will mandatorily prohibit the addition of the substances, Mr. Chair, it is then proposed that we consolidate the two subsections of the Senate bill and revise them to read as follows. Should I continue to read it, Mr. Chair?
That's okay, Ruth. You can submit that to the committee.
We'll do that, Mr. Chair. Thank
For
you.
sure, you'll be part of a technical working group together with the FDA. So, any comments on Section 17, 18?
Mr. Chair,